What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dustin Poirier breaks down Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. At the end of June, former champ Conor McGregor will make his highly anticipated return to the octagon against Michael Chandler. Of course, the big question heading into McGregor's long-awaited return is whether or not he will be the same fighter he was before a devastating injury forced him to the sidelines for several years. As the fighter who both McGregor and Chandler most recently fought, Dustin Poirier appeared on ESPN's First Take to discuss the upcoming fight with Stephen A. Smith, ahead of his own UFC 302 fight with Islam Makhachev this weekend.
From my experience and being in there with him and just knowing the sport, if Conor is anywhere similar to where he was before the injury, with his timing, with his accuracy, the stylistic matchup with Michael Chandler, I think he clips him. Chandler covers too much distance, not properly, not the best footwork, lunging in with shots, and that's how you get countered. That's how you, if Conor's the matador and has the same timing and pop that he had before the injury, Conor's gonna stop this guy.
With just weeks left to go until McGregor and Chandler collide inside the octagon, the MMA community seems to be largely split in regards to who they think gets the job done. Currently on DraftKings Sportsbook, McGregor has -102 odds to win, while Chandler has -118 odds, indicating just how divided the MMA community is on how the bout will play out. Ahead of the UFC 302, Islam Makhachev also reacted to the latest footage of Conor McGregor in the club while speaking to MMA Junkie.
Honestly, I don't know who is gonna win, but I think now it's more focus, more training. Chandler, that's why he can beat him.
You saw Conor at the club the other night.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe some camp in the club he have now.
Whether or not McGregor's recent partying will impact his performance remains to be seen. Next up, let's take a look at Strickland breaks silence on Paulo Costa beef. Leading up to this weekend's UFC 302 card, there seemed to be some animosity between Strickland and Paulo Costa during training camp. At one point in camp, Strickland sent a pointed message to Costa via video posted to social media, in which he took aim at Borrachina amid rumors that Costa hadn't signed a contract for the fight. Despite that, and some back and forth exchanges on social media, it sounds as though there's no bad blood between the two heading into fight night. Speaking to media members this week, Strickland opened up on the situation.
I mean, I have nothing bad against Costa. He's, it's really weird to find a Brazilian that Brazilians don't like. So, other than that, yeah, he's a funny Brazilian, dude. He's funny. He makes me laugh. I'm going to be laughing the whole time. I got to try to murder this man. Yeah, he's just funny.
While the two men are set to throw down in a high-stakes fight on Saturday, even Strickland couldn't help but tip his hat to Costa, who he admitted is hilarious with his social media activity. Next up, let's take a look at Schaub reacts to Ronda Rousey comments. Recently, amid a media tour surrounding the release of her new book, Our Fight, former women's bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey indicated that she doesn't feel as though she can go to live MMA events. While citing her rocky relationship with MMA fans and media members, the former champ explained that she feels as though she would be booed. During a recent video for his YouTube channel, former UFC heavyweight Schaub weighed in on the situation.
I think that's in her head and she's making a bigger deal on this. I think the other thing is, who has she talked to in the MMA media space? Of course, if you read if any fighter, any person in the spotlight reads MMA articles, it's tough. It's super dark and they do negative stuff to get clicks, but that's not the narrative on you in public eye. I bet if Ronda walks the streets, no one's booing her, no one's being mean to her. That's not real. That's in her head. Yeah, I think also she hasn't talked to anybody in the MMA space. I guarantee Rogan would have her on. Guarantee Luke Thomas would have her on. Ariel Helwani would have her on. The main dudes in the space would have her on. She's not reaching out to them. She's just, they hate me.
On the flip side, however, recently retired MMA legend Matt Brown indicated on a recent episode of Fighter vs. a Writer that the former champion should take ownership for contributing to the situation.
And I don't doubt for a second that she could reconcile everything. She could walk in and just show a little bit of humility. Like you said, just show a little bit of humility and everybody would be bowing down to her again. If she would just hire a PR person, just hire a halfway decent PR person, tell you what to say, just say the and the world is yours again. You're back at the top of a celebrity list, but no one wants to hear that she's saying.
Whether or not Rousey and the MMA community ever reconcile, only time will tell. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight Updates. Ahead of this weekend's UFC 302 card in Newark, New Jersey, let's take a look at today's UFC Fight Updates. Starting with a big announcement from Dana White regarding the UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi card on August 3rd. In addition to the previously announced Sandhagen-Nurmagomedov fight, which will be headlining the event, and the Chito Vera vs. Deiveson Figueiredo fight, Dana White announced new bouts between Nick Diaz and Vicente Luque, Tony Ferguson and Michael Chiesa, and Lupi Godinez and Mackenzie Dern.
Fight Night Abu Dhabi, Etihad Arena, Saturday, August 3rd. In the main event, you have the best prospect in the bantamweight division in number 10 ranked Umar Nurmagomedov, taking on number 2 ranked Corey Sandhagen in what is the number 1 contender fight at 135 pounds. In the 5-round co-main event, Nick Diaz is returning to the welterweight division to fight number 14 ranked Vicente Luque in what is certain to be an absolute war. Number 4 ranked Chito Vera is returning after his title fight against O'Malley in March to take on former world champion and number 6 ranked Deiveson Figueiredo. Figueiredo is undefeated since moving up to 135 and is coming off a finish over Cody Garbrandt at UFC 300. Number 7 ranked Mackenzie Dern is facing number 10 ranked Lupi Godinez in a fight that features 2 of the most active strikers in the 115-pound women's division. And opening the main card is a fight between the legend Tony Ferguson, moving up to 170 pounds, and what could be his final fight to take on Michael Chiesa. Ladies and gentlemen, August 3rd from Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. I will see you there.
According to Ariel Helwani, while Nick Diaz wound up booked to fight Vicente Luque, he reportedly pushed for a rematch with George St. Pierre, along with fights against Colby Covington, Michael Venom Page, and Kevin Holland before the bout with Luque was made official. That card will also reportedly play host to a newly announced light heavyweight fight between Alonzo Menefield and Asma Mirzakhanov, which will see Menefield look to bounce back from a loss to Carlos Ulberg, while on the flip side, Mirzakhanov will be looking to build on a 3-fight win streak inside the octagon that most recently saw him defeat Dustin Jacoby. Last but certainly not least, reports have indicated that a bout between Casey O'Neill and Teresa Bleda will take place at UFC 305 on August 17th. The bout will see O'Neill look to snap a 2-fight skid, while on the flip side, Bleda will be looking to build on a win over Gabriela Fernandez last June. Alright fight fans, it's time to make the fights this weekend even more exciting. You already know we're teamed up with DraftKings so that you can get some skin in the game. Right now, all new customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 with a $5 deposit. This means you'll get a bonus bet back in the amount of your original bet if your first bet does not hit. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using our promo code MMAZone. The crown is yours. You heard me right. New customers that bet just $5 will get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. If your first bet doesn't hit, no sweat. You'll get that original amount back in a bonus bet. If you want to stay in on the action, check out DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts. There, you'll be able to combine multiple bets together from the same fight. If sports betting isn't available in your state yet, don't worry. You can still get in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code MMAZone and deposit just $5 to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. That's promo code MMAZone, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, let's get back into the video. Next, let's take a look at Conor McGregor roasts Islam Makhachev and Belal Muhammad. Leading up to this weekend's UFC 302 card, former champ Conor McGregor has taken aim at Islam Makhachev for what he believes appears to be a staph infection on the champion's leg. In a post on social media, the Irish star wrote, "Staph again. This inbred, however, lives with staph. This team is infested, make no mistake. Scruff balls. Whatever y'alls are into, I suppose. He still subs Dustin in the first." McGregor then followed it up writing, "Use absolute scruffy I'm sick of yous. Wash your effing self. Wash your clothes. Wash your mats. And do it effing every day, you scruffy McGregor also notably took aim at Belal Muhammad, who has been training with Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov for his upcoming UFC 304 fight, reposting a screenshot of a stat indicating that the welterweight #1 contender has knocked down less fighters throughout his career than OnlyFans model Elle Brooke, who dropped Paige Van Zandt in their boxing match this past weekend, writing, "Wow, 0 knockdowns whatsoever." Dominance MMA head Ali Abdelaziz then responded to McGregor, writing, "Hey, you haven't won a fight since Obama was a president. Sit down and watch greatness." With McGregor back in the spotlight ahead of his return, this feud is likely far from over. Next, let's take a look at Michael Venom Page disrespects Ian Garry. Since Michael Venom Page and Ian Garry signed to fight one another, the former Bellator title contender has taken aim at the future on social media, kickstarting the trash talk ahead of the pair's highly anticipated clash at UFC 303 this summer. After previously compiling 2 clips of Garry dismissing him, Page recently took aim at the undefeated contender during an episode of the MMA Hour, dubbing him the fake version of Conor McGregor.
I think he dick rides Conor McGregor. He's kind of like he's like the fake version of Conor McGregor. Like if Conor McGregor was like a natural, pretty woman, he's like the BBL version. That's just a bad BBL version. You know what I mean? BBL Garry, yeah.
So far, no response yet from Garry. However, given how active the up-and-coming contender is on social media, that could change ahead of the fight once the clip of MVP on the MMA Hour makes the rounds online. In addition, the UFC has announced that there will be a press conference in Ireland with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. However, despite Garry also being on the card, it doesn't appear as though he and Page will be participating. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC fighter reveals sad news. Although fans had hoped to see streaking welterweight contender Jack Della Maddalena on the UFC 305 card in Perth later this summer, that won't be the case. In a shocking post on social media, JDM indicated that he's been battling an infection that has not only forced him to the sidelines, but also into the operating room. In a lengthy post on social media, complete with photos and a video showing how serious the situation is, JDM opened up on the initial injury and everything that has followed. As he indicated, after having surgery on his arm following his UFC 299 win, an infection popped up. In the caption, he wrote, in part, "Went in for surgery too, as believed to be infection present. Bone cleaned, plate replaced, stayed in hospital for 9 days on IV antibiotics, then moved to oral antibiotics. Thought the infection was under control. Unfortunately, this means I won't be competing at UFC 305 in Perth, which is a tough pill to swallow. At the moment, I'm focused on recovery, ridding my body of infection and allowing the bone to mend. Planning to get my arm back to 100%, which, if all goes well, will be in 12 weeks' time. I'm still motivated to compete before the year's end in the fight I believe is the toughest and makes the most sense." While it will take some time before JDM is able to return, Joaquin Buckley recently took to social media to react to the news, writing, "Poor Jack, fighting in Perth. But Tampa card August against Rachmanov, what you think? #KillCliffKiller." Given the severity of the situation, it'll be interesting to see how long JDM is stuck on the sidelines and what the landscape of the division looks like once he returns. Islam Makhachev threatens Conor McGregor to a street fight team versus team. During a recent interview before UFC 302, Islam Makhachev claimed that he doesn't want to fight Conor on the octagon, but would rather fight his whole team in the streets. Here's what Islam had to say.
Not good numbers. I want when we meet his team and we all team in the street somewhere and we have good fights, because it's like we all have many big experience in the street. We just want to meet them and finish all talks. Team versus team, it's gonna be more interesting because already Khabib beat him in the cage, beat his corner, but team versus team, maybe we can make ultimate fighter.
Things got heated at the UFC face-offs today between Dustin and Islam. Dustin said something that Islam didn't like, which led to Islam threatening to slap Dustin. Here's the backstage audio from the moment.
You're gonna be diving for my legs, praying. You're gonna be diving for my legs. You're gonna be laying and praying. That's what you're gonna be doing. Thank you, don't sleep. I have respect for you, brother.
Top comments. Buckley becoming the cringe master. He's tacky AF. Buckley's a hemorrhoid. Just mentioning him causes another flare-up. Hope to see Rob KO Hamzat. Really, the only way to minimize eye pokes is to start deducting points when they occur. Lose a close fight because of that, and you'll learn to keep your fists shut.